Feeling a dip in your hip, a glide in your stride. Welcome to the mothership, the home of the travelers of the universe, with shows throughout the week. Everything you want, everything you could need. From the paranormal to the supernatural, from the spiritual to the unknown, from emotions to comedy. You can find us at Facebook, Twitch, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and so much more. This is R.I.F.T Nation Network, the RNN. And now, your featured show. Shall we begin?
Sensitive/offensive content disclaimer. Please note that this podcast may contain material that some listeners may find sensitive, offensive, or disturbing. We strive to create respectful and informative content, but topics discussed may include mature themes such as violence, explicit language, or controversial subjects, triggering content including discussions related to mental health, trauma, or other sensitive issues, explicit language. Occasionally, our guests or hosts may use strong language. While we aim to handle these topics with care and empathy, we encourage listeners to exercise discretion. If you find any content distressing, consider skipping or seeking support. Remember that this podcast is not a substitute for professional advice. If you need assistance, please consult a qualified expert.
Whoops. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to R.I.F.T Nation Network. I am your host, Joni Skinner, this evening for Mysteries Beyond the Scenes. Streaming live on the R.I.F.T Nation Network. We are streaming on Twitch, Facebook, YouTube, Rumble, and Kick. We've added some new channels, so please subscribe, like, and share. Welcome, everybody. Come on in. Happy Wednesday. Happy True Crime Wednesday. Let's hit up the chat and see how everybody's doing tonight. There she is, Miss Ruru. How are you? And there he is, the man of the hour, Tips Top Hat. How are you, Sir Howie? I hope everything's going well, dear. And Miss Michelle, I hope your week's going well too, my dear. Oh, there's Howie. And there's Miss Gina. Miss Gina from Tennessee with our friend Ruru. The true crimers from Tennessee and Kentucky. We're here. And Miss Linda. Hi, Joni. Hi, everyone. Miss Linda, I hope you have a great trip. Headed to see the babies. See her little ones. There's nothing like seeing little ones. I had to pick up my granddaughter all week to take her to dance. And, you know, I know most of you guys are just moms. I know Linda has grandbabies, but when you have there's nothing like grandkids, you guys. My kids are like, you never did that for us. And I'm like, well, so what? I mean, there's just nothing like grandbabies. Nothing like them. How are you, Miss Denise and Miss Peggy and Sir Keith? How are you? How is everybody tonight? Doing well, I hope. I hope everybody's doing good on this lovely Wednesday. You know, it's almost August, you guys. Almost getting ready for school for the kids. The summer is flying by. What is going on here? How are you, Miss Lee? I hope you're doing well, hun. I know summer's flying by for all of us. It's been a crazy year so far, too. We can't keep up with everything. There's so much hitting the news cycle and astrology cycles and mundane cycles and true crime. Remember how the season started off? And I know all of us in true crime remember how the true crime, it was just like in the beginning of the year, it was bam, bam, bam. Every week we had a case around eclipse time. So we're getting ready to head into eclipse again in September. So that kicks up. True crime does. So we'll just have to see how things go. But true crime kind of calmed down a little bit, catch up on some cases, catch up on old cases, and go through the old files and see if we can update everybody. But I hope everything's going well. And just remember to tune into the Rift Nation Network all week long. Go over to our Facebook page, like it. We have so many great shows for everybody. I know. I'm doing greatly. I know it's going by way too fast. Way too fast. It's almost football season here. That's for sure. It's almost football season. I'm kind of looking forward to that. And we've got the Olympics coming up. So we've got a lot going on. So to look forward to. Linda's trying to keep her Wi-Fi. She is I hope I can tell. She's on a train right now. So tell everybody hi on the train. Share us to the train. You can crank up the and let everybody on the train listen to us. She's traveling. So this week has been another crazy week. I have tried to bring you all this particular case now for 2 weeks. And because weird things have happened to us here, we had to put this case off. And this is really a wild case. And I have, if you all don't mind, after the show tonight, I have put up Nikki McCain's missing poster on Rift Nation Network Facebook page and on my personal page. Please go into either my personal page or on Rift Nation Network's page and share this case out. The thing that we need with this case is to get it moving, get some YouTubers on it, get some people in the true crime community to look at it. That's what her family is asking for. Now, I caught this episode on Nancy Grace. I love Nancy Grace. I think she's one of the best. And this is a very, very sad case. Once again, we're dealing with DV. And, she was supposed to testify like a week prior to a trial where her husband was involved with the trial involving a DV case where she was involved, and she disappeared a week prior to testifying. Now, with that being said, we have to be equal opportunity true crimers here. There was also another DV case. I think this is in this couple's background. I'm alleging this. I'm assuming this because there was an instance where some things had occurred where he had been injured as well. Their children had been taken away from them via tribal council up in Northern California with tribal council because of the DV situation. And their children are living with her family. So I think it's just a sad situation when we know couples that get into this. And maybe it's one fault, maybe it's the other. But there are couples that get into these cycles that, need therapy, need help. So if you know people in those cycles, sit them both down. Hey, you both need help. And I think but I don't know. We don't really know what went on here. She's a little itty bitty thing. So I don't know how bad she could really be. She's 5 foot tall, 100 pounds. So, but let's get into it. Let's get into this case. And then I've got another treat because of the news cycle, and none of us know what's going on anymore here in America. It's like we don't know. I don't know. It's like the Twilight Zone here. I pulled up Miss Kamala's birth chart. And I know when I was on Keith's show, I said she's getting in, Keith, because she's got some really lucky Jupiter transits. Jupiter is always blessings, and not always. It can make you. It can give us over exaggerated energy. Where we can overeat, we can overspend, everything can get bigger. But she's got a really lucky transit going on now. But wait till I show you what else I found. And also, next week, I'm also going to do some more mapping on the assassination attempt a couple Saturdays ago, because more information has come out regarding the perp. I guess I can say the perp. And if you guys remember when we did the mapping of the assassination, one of the map lines went to Washington, D.C. Remember that? Washington and Baltimore on the map. Geo-tracking found one of the devices in that home. Now, we can't say whose it was, but it was, geo-tracking is where, like, have you ever looked up something like Shein? Like if I'm on Shein and I'm looking for a bathing suit, and then all of a sudden on Facebook, there's every ad I get is about bathing suits. Did you ever notice that, where you look something up, you Google it, and then all of a sudden you just get bombarded with ads? Okay, that's kind of like geo-tracking. So true crimers and law enforcement use geo-tracking. It doesn't tell you who that actual device belongs to, but you can track the devices. So, for example, if you did it to my phone, you could track it to your home, to where you work, where you go. And so geo-tracking caught one of their devices from their home. Don't know if it was one of his, but guess where they tracked it to? Washington, D.C. Yes. And if you recall, that map went right to D.C. So I'm gonna mess with those maps, and we'll look at that next week. I found that just so unbelievably interesting. So let's get into Nikki McCain's case. Like I said, there is her missing poster. Go to R.I.F.T Nation Network, and also if you go to my Facebook page, and please share her poster. Let's get the word out. She's such a beautiful young woman. Small kids. We have to find her. So let's take a look. I'll make it a little bit bigger. Okay. Let's get some information on Miss Nikki. Okay. Crap. I'm so not electronically. Okay, here we go. Now, this case takes place in Redding, California, and we always do our maps. It's north of Sacramento, up into Northern California. Beautiful country. Beautiful. Look at this. Okay, wait, let me show you. Okay. Keep this in mind. Keep this place in mind. This is the home of the Wind River Casino. Now, apparently her husband's family and his mother-in-law are pretty well executives or have excellent jobs at this casino. She worked at this casino for a while. So I'm sure it's the area's largest employer. The Wind River Casino. Keep this in mind, because I'm going to show you something on the chart, her event chart, that's pretty mind-boggling. Hi, Miss Tammy. The Wind River Casino in Redding. And there's a picture of Nikki, just a beautiful young woman. Look at that, Redding, California. I don't know if y'all have been there. I have never been there, but it looks absolutely, it's stunning. What a beautiful place. So Nikki helped find Nikki. There is now a $20,000 reward for any information leading to the discovery of Nikki. Okay, this is what we've got on Nikki. And it's very sketch. We don't have a lot of details. I have a lot of questions on this case, and I know you guys, we've done true crime together for how long now? We're all going to have the same question. California mother of mom of four is missing. Now, on May 19th, at approximately 12:30 a.m., Nikki texted her sister, and that's the time I used on the timestamp, stating she was driving her mother-in-law's truck and she had accompanied her mother-in-law to Mercy Hospital, which is the local hospital, because her brother-in-law had a medical emergency. That was the last text from Nikki to her family. It was about 12:30, May 18th. So as families go, about 3 days went by, and her sisters, everybody kind of got together and said, wait, we haven't heard from Nikki in a while. What's going on? So everybody put two and two together and realized Nikki was missing. She was not, when they would text, none of the texts were picked up from any of their devices. So they called the authorities, put in a missing persons report. Apparently, they were getting mixed messages from her husband that she had gone somewhere in an Uber. She now had a girlfriend. She left with her. She was in Vegas. And they were just getting mixed messages. Now, that's all alleged stories that we've heard. We've not heard anything from law enforcement. No, not any pressers, nothing. So as you can see, her residence is up in the middle. The Wind River Resort that we saw, that picture in the very first slide, is up to the top because that's where they thought that was one of the last places she had been, around that area. Her mother-in-law lives on tribal land around the Wind River Resort. Now, as many of you, I don't know if you all know this or not, but you cannot search on tribal land. Now, I had a case a couple of years ago in New Mexico that was actually on tribal land. And the authorities on tribal land got the map from me and used my map. So as long as the tribal authorities, they have all the authority on tribal land. And at the time, they could not, I don't think they could ask the FBI if they could use their resources. I believe that has now changed. I think the FBI now can come in if the tribal council allows them in. Now, the authorities that I worked with in New Mexico were phenomenal. They wanted everything that I had. They were probably the best law enforcement group I've ever worked with. So I'm not quite sure where the holdup is as to why they're not allowing people on tribal land to search. That kind of was a red flag to me, and I don't know why, but all different areas are different. But I would think the authorities might do an investigation on their own if she was anywhere in that area around the tribal land. So days had gone by. The text message was the last known message from her, and not stating she was in any trouble. Her family doesn't know if Nikki parked her truck at the hospital. They don't know if she parked it at the mother-in-law's house. They have been given zero answers. Did Nikki ever make it back to her home? Nobody knows. And if law enforcement knows, they're not releasing any information. So let's fast forward a little bit. And on May 25th, if you look over to the left of this map, her vehicle was located 50 miles away or an hour away. There are approximately 2 highways that anybody can take to get to where her vehicle was located, around a bridge. So I wonder if there was the truck processed. Who knows? It was a new truck. Her husband had just gotten her this truck. Okay, there's another map of where the hospital was and the 2 highways that she could have taken, or somebody took the truck and dumped the truck. Now, apparently the truck was like hidden into an area so that nobody would find it. So how long had the truck been there? No one knows. Once again, there's so many questions, and her sisters have, nobody has answers. They're not getting any answers. Did she make it to the mother-in-law's house? Who was the last person to see Nikki? Who was the last person to talk to her? Why aren't they using the geo-fencing technology to track the pings on her phone? This has been since May. Where are her phone records? Because that's the best thing to do. What about cameras in the area? If she was around a casino, we all have been to casinos. We all know where casinos are in our area. They have more cameras than a bank. Were the cameras checked there in the local town? Everybody has dash cams, ring cams. Everybody's got cams now. Where was Nikki, and who saw Nikki last? So let's see if we can get any clues from her astrology. Now, when we do, as you all know, forensic astrology, we use the timestamp. The timestamp must be accurate to get an accurate account of what the astrology map chart will tell us. We take the chart, and as you can see, I actually wrote the numbers on the left-hand side of the chart where we map it, where search and rescue can look and hopefully find some clues on Nikki. I didn't like this chart. I've done so many of these by now. I know when a chart is going to hit. I don't know if it's because I think it's going to hit. I don't know. I do not like this chart. So I'm going to keep an eye on this case. And if everybody else keeps their eyes open, and if we get another timestamp, or maybe Nikki on a camera or something, somebody sees something, I'm going to do another chart for them, because I don't like this chart. When you do forensic astrology, we have you can also have what's called a pattern of death. Now, Nikki could very well be alive, but you can start to see a pattern, what is called a pattern of a death pattern, where when a homicide occurs, you can start to do multiple charts and start to see the story play out. I think this was the beginning of something, but I don't think this was the finality of what occurred to Nikki, if that makes sense. I think this was when the text was made to her sister, and usually that doesn't matter. We get accuracy, but something else occurred, and I'm going to explain it with this map. Now, when we look at the map, as you all know, Nikki is over the ascendant, over to the left, which is Capricorn. So that would be Saturn. Saturn rules Capricorn. So Nikki is down at the bottom of the chart, the little H in the 3rd house, which is Saturn. So Nikki is in the neighborhood, because the 3rd house is within the neighborhood. She went a short distance, neighborhood. Now, hospital. We know she was at the hospital. 12th house is the hospital. Sixth house could denote a hospital. We don't see any planets there. So I don't believe at that time at 12:30 she was at the hospital. I don't believe so according to this map. Okay? She's also represented by the moon, which is at the very top of the chart. Remember, the top of the chart is the co-ruler. The moon is the co-ruler of the victim. What's interesting about this chart is the perp is Cancer. Cancer is ruled by the moon. So the perp is also the moon. If you look up to the top of that chart, whenever we see something up around the 9th house, 10th house, that means they're out in the open. Wherever she was within the neighborhood, she was out in the open. Or she could be out in the open. Now, because it's 9th house, very close to the 9th house, that could also be by a main highway. Okay? Out in the open, by a main highway, in the neighborhood. Now, if you notice, when we look at event charts for if somebody is unalived, we look to the 8th house, we look to the 4th house, or we look to the 12th house. And if you notice, they're empty. Now, here's the big clue. Look at that 5th house. Look at the house, the little wedge that's numbered a 5. It is packed. Look at that. There's, a stellium, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 planets in there. Well, Algol and 5 planets. What is the 5th house in forensic astrology? That's a place that people have fun. It's gambling. It's a club. It's a baseball field. It's a golf course. It could be anything where people go to have fun. My guess is because this casino is so in play, she was at the casino. If they would just look at that packed 5th house, it's got to be the casino. It has to be. Absolutely has to be. Now, if we look where she was in the neighborhood, we're going to see Neptune. Okay? Neptune can be either drugs and alcohol, or it can be video cameras. My guess, video cameras. Could be drugs, could be alcohol. I don't know. That's Neptune. The only other thing that is a little bit not suspicious, but in the 4th house, that is her home. We've got Mars in there, which I don't like. So did she go home? And did violence occur at the home? Violence can also be, or Mars can also be a weapon. It can be violence. So Chiron is in there as well, too. It could be harm to the physical body. But, I don't know if, Rue, you're picking up anything else from this chart. Rue says, it doesn't look like Ellie is doing anything to help find Nikki. Well, here's the situation. When you've got the other police. Now, what happened is recently, law enforcement has changed because the last place she was seen was at the hospital. They are using that jurisdiction. So it switched over to the sheriff, which is, I think, a positive sign. But when you've got where this truck that she was driving went to tribal land and they're living on tribal land, there's nothing they can do. Can't go on there. You can't go question people. You have to go through the tribal elders and tribal council. So their hands are basically tied. Any law enforcement outside of that vicinity is basically their hands are tied. So I don't know if that's the case, but I know it was for the case that I worked, but they called me. So luckily they wanted to work with me. but nobody else could come in to help them, even the FBI back then. It's weird rules, crazy rules on tribal land. So, like I said, I think this was the beginning of the night for her. I think she ended up in the casino, and this is just what the chart is looking like. So it would be one of those things. Maybe we can see her leaving the casino at around 2 a.m. or 1 a.m. I don't know why the cameras were not the first thing confiscated at the casinos, because you know darn well there's casinos, there's cameras everywhere at a casino. They're in the parking lot, they're in the front door, they're at the games, they're at the restrooms, they're everywhere. So where did Nikki end up? So when I mapped this, okay, check this out. When I mapped it, now I mapped it from her home because I thought, well, maybe she went home. And then I also mapped it from the hospital. But come to find out, the hospital is not that far from the home. The only thing that I really like on this map is all of the lines that go northeast. Look at that batch of lines. Look at that. Do you see all those lines up there? Tons of lines. That's where they should go look, in that area. And so I just zoomed in on some. But if you look over to the northeast, look at all those lines. That's a good map. That's an excellent map. Now, this is the map from the actual hospital. Again, all of those clumps. Yes, Jean, it is. That chart is, but I've got a Placidus as well. I use both. Gina is asking me a question. Jody, this chart is showing whole signs. Okay, in astrology, we have charts that say that are whole signs, which are 30 degrees for each house. We also have what is called Placidus that measures by the degree of the sign. So you can have what we call intercepting houses, but they all go the same. The Placidus is just harder to read. So you could have in a Placidus chart, the fourth and fifth house are like in one sign, but they're split because we have interceptions. But like in this chart, you got half of the stuff in the fifth house, and then you've got like Mars in the fourth. But so because it's Placidus, you still have to read just like a whole sign, if that makes sense. Yeah, I think I used whole sign on this one, but I used both on event charts. Yeah, I did whole sign on that, and then here's her Placidus. Here's Placidus, but everything still goes in the fourth house because you kind of go up one. Still the same ascendant. That's for astrology people. Okay, so the right of that chart is very interesting to me. And if it is a long highway, it runs right alongside of that highway, which would be the ninth house, which is a main road. I would take just a drive up that road. I'll just drive up that road and see if there's anything shady up there. See if there are any cameras, a gas station, anything. Drop off posters. Definitely check out that area. Look at that. Look at those lines. Go up there. I want to drive up there. People that don't look at mapping, they have to realize most of the mapping, they're really mixed up. But when you see a cluster of lines like that taking you to that area, go. Hit, and it's all on that highway. Go on that road. Take missing posters. But see, and I even pointed it out there because they rarely do that. That's a big indication. And you know, if somebody were to think about this, her truck was west. if you did something nefarious and we're going to get rid of any evidence, more than likely you'd go opposite. So her truck was to the west, right? Go east on this one. Look at that. That's crazy. That's every line. Her truck was over by this little area. So that is, okay. That is Nikki's. And Lee is giving us some clues. She says they got into a truck, and I'll mark all that down. Now, truck would be Mercury, which would be in the neighborhood. That's in the third house, Lee. So that could be it. And I'll write your clues down. And like I said, I'm going to keep an eye on Nikki's case because I don't like the timestamp. I think it's off. But I think right now the main thing to do with Nikki's case is to share her missing poster. We got to share her poster and get some other creators to pick it up, and let's get it out on the social media and get some help to her. And Lee's right. That is Lee. That it really is. That's a lot of lines. When I want to, yeah. When they go like that, they're not messing around. They are not messing around. I say that and watch, they'll find something over to the left. There's 2 lines. I'll be like, I don't know. I'll be like, shit, I don't know. So that's Nikki's story. Very sad. There's still a lot of unanswered questions. Why aren't they? I would definitely do the tracking of her phone. If I had to get a private eye, I would get a private eye on this, get them out, get them to start talking, get them to, talking to people, get people at the casino. Maybe they can, I don't know if they'd be able to question people at the casino. Sounds like, I don't know. But, private eyes got a way. They've got a way of snooping around. They can dig out stuff. So here we go, you guys. I wanted to show you guys, how do you decide? This is us right now. This is us if we're living in the States. And I know I've got some of my friends from Canada. You guys are probably laughing at us going, what is going on down there? And all I can say is that it's Pluto. I'm going to blame it on Pluto. It's Pluto return. We're almost at the end of it. Thank goodness, because every time we turn around, we're getting whacked with something different down here in the States, Canada friends. So how do you decide what to believe? Well, you don't. You just keep your eyes open and you. So I did this for everybody because I think we're all very curious as to what is going to happen with Kamala. Now, I had told Keith that she has a very strong chart. And if you look at, she's a Libra. She was born in October. She's a Libra. And I'm going to make her chart bigger. She's a Libra. She is an Aries moon. And she's a Gemini rising. Okay. Now, if you look at the pink arrows, and this is transits right now. And I did this transit on the day of the election. Okay. I didn't see this when I was talking to Keith about this on his show. But if you look at the pink arrows, she's got now the planets that are green that are on the outside of her natal chart they are the planets right now that are moving around Earth that are interacting. They're interacting with her natal chart. So transits are going to be the energy that is surrounding Kamala around November the 5th. Okay. Right now, she's got Uranus that is sitting right on Jupiter, her natal Jupiter. That is phenomenally a good transit. Very lucky. It's unexpected opportunities, which look what happened to her. It's really it's a great transit for her to have. She also has Jupiter that's going to be sitting on her ascendant, sitting there now. Another excellent transit. So I saw those and I said, there's nothing stopping her now. Well, when I saw this transit chart, I forgot that Saturn is in retrograde. If you look at the top of her chart, and I circled in green, that little Saturn is our culprit, who's going to be moving. He's going to be moving, I think. I'm not sure. Yeah, okay, at 12 degrees. Saturn is going to be moving backward. It's in retrograde right now. So at the time of the election, it's going to be opposing. Opposing means they're opposed, they're fighting, they're opposing, they're exactly 180 degrees across from one another, and they are not getting along. It's in her 10th house. The 10th house is the house of the president. Okay, it's career, 10th house. If you notice down at the bottom, it's going to be opposing her Uranus, natal Pluto, and it's going to start with Venus, because right now it's at a higher degree. It's moving backwards. So by the time the election gets here, it's going to be at 12, which is still going to be in opposition to Uranus, Pluto, and actually in Venus at 5 degrees. The Venus-Saturn opposition is about relationships. Relationships. The Pluto one is usually, because it's up in the 10th house, it's Saturn, it's usually stepping down. Now I'm just reading what it can be. Stepping down from a position. They're not good transits. She's got like almost a triple conjunction, which is Uranus, Pluto, and Venus. Luckily it's well aspected in her natal chart by Jupiter for her life. But when you get something like a transit of Saturn hitting all three of those at once, you're getting a triple whammy. And Saturn is a restrictor. It's karma. So what's going to happen is Saturn's going to be at 12 at the election. It goes back into its forward motion. And all of those planets that it just went over, it's going to go hit him again. So right now it's called the karma train. Saturn is karma. It's lessons. We're going to see how her karma is, actually, if you think about it. So those are wild transits. I don't think, I don't know. We can never be too sure. The 4th house in mundane astrology in a country's chart is the homeland. It's the people. It's the people. In asteroid America, the transiting North Node, which is her destiny, is opposing America. It's going to be conjunct on the transiting South Node, which is loss in Libra. I think it's very interesting. We're going to have to see how this plays out. I would not wish this triple transit on. It's a tough transit. I mean, we all go through transits. We all go through them. We all go through Saturn transits, and we make it. But not all of us are going to be looking at an election that night. Now, I have to look at her opponents, and we'll have to take a look at that. But when I saw that, I went, oh, jeez. I feel bad for anybody, even if it was just hitting Uranus and Pluto. The Venus wouldn't be bad. That's about relationships. it could be romantic relationships, it could be friendships, relationships just with people in general. It's not good. So we're going to have to look at it. Maybe she can make it through it. She was born on a full moon. Look at that. Moon and sun were opposite. So she was born on a full moon. I think, some people talk about when she laughs and stuff. I think it's because her Mercury, which is in Scorpio, is what we call combust. It's combust with the sun. So her Mercury is kind of burnt by that sun so close. So that could be it. We'll have to wait. It's so interesting to watch this, though. So now this will start to take effect immediately because it's hit and here's the thing with this particular transit for her. It's only hitting now until about the fall, and then it circles back and hits again. So see, transits they're not, and it's not that transits, you make it through them. If that was like a normal life and this is a normal life for her, it would just be kind of like, oh, it's you're gonna have some rough bumpy ride, but you'll make it because it's home. It's home. But if we use it in the sense of the president, it's the homeland. So I'm going to put her chart next with the US's chart, and we'll see. But other than that, with that nasty transit, I feel sorry for anybody that has nasty transits, period. She's got a really strong chart. She's got a strong chart. She's very bright. She's very bright. But let's see what happens. So I think that's so interesting, you guys, just that we can get like a little peek ahead that we're going to watch this. Let's see how relationships are. Then we're going to see how this Pluto thing weighs in. And that's going to be the Pluto. I wrote it down. Let me see. Let me see about Pluto. It's going to hit about September, October. So here we go. It's August, September, then September, October, and then boom. It's boom, boom, boom. And see, this is what happens when people have stelliums. Stellium people get nailed because when you have one transit on a stellium where all of your planets are together, they get whacked all at the same time. So really, stellium people they're those people that everything seems to be happening to them, but they pick themselves up. So we'll have to watch this and see, you guys. But I thought you guys would like that because we keep looking at what's going on, give us a little bit of insight, but we have to watch that Saturn up there, and I missed it. I forgot it was going to be in retrograde. Okay, you guys, just a quick reminder. August 24th, another in conjunction with Miss Donna's shop, Silver Wolf Treasures and Gifts in Independence, Kentucky. She's sponsoring Astrology, the series. This is class number 1, August 24th, live and via Zoom. If you haven't taken the astrology class, please come and take it. We have a ball. It's natal interpretation. I send you back your natal chart, and you learn how to interpret your very own natal chart. So we've got that going on. And also, Miss Donna has her great show coming up at Turfway. Turfway, it's the casino and the racetrack in Florence, Kentucky. She's got a huge 70 vendor show at Turfway for Miss Donna coming up. And then on August 25th is class number 2, where we are learning transits. What we just went over on Kamala's chart, that's what I'll be teaching there. But you got to you have to have some knowledge of natal chart so that you don't kind of get lost in this class. And it's Chiron and Black Moon Lilith interpretation. So if anybody's interested, just reach out to me and or go to Silver Wolf Treasures Gifts on Facebook under the event pages. Donna has all this up. And here, oh shucks, thanks. It's Universal Energy Expo. It's in the chat, Universal Energy Expo, and she just put out her vendor list, 70 vendors for this show. So what a day to go enjoy it. It's going to be a great, super great show for Miss Donna and Silver Wolf Treasures. So you guys, we'll check out the chat and see if anybody has anything else to say. Oh my goodness, here's Donna. The thunder rolled when you said she was born on a full moon. I heard that because it's getting ready to storm here, and I don't know if y'all can hear the thunder rolling, but the thunder's hitting. The thunder's hitting us. Yikes. And here's Miss Donna's link, Universal Energy Expo, Kentucky.wordpress.com for more info. It's going to be a great show. Just a phenomenal show for Donna and company. Just super. Okay. Just super. A lot of lines, chart showing whole signs. Lee says they got into a truck. How are you, Miss Kathy? And Rue said, doesn't look like Ellie is doing anything to help find Nikki. I know it's touchy, very touchy. Lee says, bald guy always wears a baseball cap. One was bald. 2 people involved. Thanks for the clues. If anybody else wants, okay, here we go with Miss Donna. We will be doing lives on Facebook throughout the event for out-of-town shoppers. Oh, that'll be fun, Donna. So tune in, go to her Facebook page and subscribe, and you'll be able to get live events. Well, hello, Miss Michelle. Enjoyed the show. How are you, Miss Michelle? How did I miss seeing you on there, Michelle? How's it going? God love you. I hope everything's well. I did see you. You were one of the first because I always love your ocean pictures. She lives down by the coast, and she always puts up on Facebook the surf report. I get very jealous. She's down in that beautiful Gulf surf. But everybody have a great week. We've got a lot of Pluto energy right now this whole week. And we talked about it, and even Carrie Lynn talked about it too, that people are feeling very heaviness of energy. So just wear a lot of light clothing, light colors, burn white candles, everything light right now. Don't wear black. I wore black today, and I felt like it weighed like 500 pounds. We've got a Pluto transit going on all week, and it's not a bad one. But it's the heaviness. It's like no energy, and it's been very, very heavy. So just watch that energy this week. Keep it saged. Keep it light. I hope your mom is okay, hon. I hope your mama does okay. Sorry to hear that, hon. Great info. Have a great rest of the week. You too, Denise, hon. Thank you guys for tuning in so much. I love having you. We will look at the thermal, where those spots were from the assassin and the chart in DC next week, as well as another show. And another missing persons show. I always put a case in there as well. And we'll bring up the thermo tracking, how that works. It's interesting because that's how they get our ads. But people use it to track people's cell phones. So, thank you. Yeah, please keep me thanks, Michelle. Every day on Facebook, I put the energy report, you guys, because I look at the transits and try to give you an idea of the energy. but you're in charge of the energy, remember. So thanks a million, you guys, and have a wonderful weekend. I don't think anything else is coming up. I don't think. But I will see you guys next Wednesday. We'll go over the assassin and we'll go around and I'll put in the map on DC where the lines went with the astrology and where his phone pinged. And let's see if they line up. So that'll be interesting that they found his phone in the DC area. But maybe they were on a trip. Maybe he was sightseeing. Could be sightseer. Everybody have a great week. Thanks a million for tuning in and have a great weekend. So I'll see y'all next week. Michelle, prayers out to your mama. So I hope everything turns out okay, honey. Take care, everybody. Bye, Linda. Have a great trip with the babies.